little bit about Detroit, because that was the big news before the president went out on the podium on Friday and made that speech about the Trayvon Martin case. Now we're talking about Detroit and the bankruptcy, and then all of a sudden there's a big pushback, Brett. It might not be constitutional to go bankrupt. Where do they go from here? We still need $20 billion to balance the books.
I tell you, it's a mess, Brian, and the thought of a federal bailout is really not even a reality. Detroit's mayor said he didn't think this environment would be something that you could ask Washington for $18.2 billion, and he's right. I mean, both sides of the aisle are not in that position as we get ready for a debt ceiling fight here in Washington. I tell you what, they are in a dire situation, and essentially it is up to a bankruptcy judge to divvy up this pie. And what happens is that the pensions of about 20,000 retired municipal workers from Detroit are hanging in the balance. I mean, some reports have it that these workers might only get about 10% of those pensions. We don't know yet. The bankruptcy judge has to kind of go through it all, but it's a mess.
It is, and what's going on in Detroit right now, Brett, is a cautionary tale. There are a lot of municipalities and state governments that have made very rich deals with the unions to keep everybody happy, and eventually, you know, the day of reckoning will come. Later today, we understand the President of the United States is going to be talking about the economy. Is he going to weigh in on this, do we know?
I doubt he'll weigh in on Detroit because it's not a story that the administration obviously wants to focus on. But the president is going to be launching a series of economic speeches, we're told, kind of going back to the middle class needs to be driving the economy and that everybody has to have a fair shot. On Detroit, you're right, Steve. I mean, there are many cities across the country that are in this predicament, that are on the brink. Right. There are several of them in California. Detroit's been spending $100 million more than it's been bringing in for the past 8 years.
Yeah, what do they think they are, the federal government or something?
You're right. I mean, they don't print money in Detroit.
No, they don't.
And that's the biggest problem.
But what will the president say? Because actually, the narrative, he should speak openly about Detroit because it is what's going to be happening to other cities. But if he doesn't, what do you expect him to talk about?
You know, I think it's going to be similar messaging that we've heard before from these big, so-called big economic speeches in Kansas, at Georgetown, and now back at Knox College in Illinois, where he's going to say that everybody needs to have a fair share.
What does that mean? What does that mean exactly? Essentially,
it means that the boom and bust, he says, economies need to stop. And what that translates to, Gretchen, I think is that, you know, the president would like to see higher taxes on some of the big wealthy makers in the country, and he'd like to see other things done that help the middle class move forward. You know, we've heard this terminology before, but it's really not been defined.